All right, guys. So day one in the life of a Pixel. So I got the Pixel. I opened it up. I did a complete transfer. So Google has a deal where they have the app where you plug it into your iPhone, and it'll literally transfer everything from apps, your contacts, your text messages, pictures, all that good stuff. It transfers it over to the Google Pixel and on Android. So I did that from the start. That was okay. It didn't have any bugs or anything. To be honest with you, it happened relatively fast. I mean, maybe it took 5 or 10 minutes, but normally I have a lot of content on there, so I anticipated it to take a little bit longer. So that kind of, threw me for a loop there, but that was pretty good. Outside of that, after I got the device set up, everything was pretty cool, smooth sailing from there. My initial impressions of the device. I will say from a unboxing perspective, I thought that the device was, it was just like any other smartphone. I will say, not Google didn't take as much, didn't pay attention to detail as much as on the packaging as I may be used to on an iPhone. But if you compare it and if you compare it to some of the other devices that are out there, or some of just technology in general, it was a pretty good, unboxing. So I thought that was pretty cool. In terms of likes, so going in Android, I knew a couple things that were going to be challenging. Number one, I knew the ecosystem from an app perspective, it's not all optimized. So I kind of knew to expect that. I knew that I was going to miss things like iMessage, FaceTime, my iCloud, stuff like that. I knew that was going to happen right out the get-go, so nothing there. So let's start real quick with some of the likes. So right off the bat, the always on display. I had read about it, I've seen it. I didn't realize how much I would like it until it started working. Until I looked at my phone, and normally I'm used to pressing the home button and to say, hey, what time is it, or whatever the case is. And now just glancing at it, the home button, there's no home button to press, obviously. So the display is on, it's giving you the time, it's letting you know your notifications, and it's doing it in a battery efficient manner. So I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of downplayed it, for the past couple years with other manufacturers that have been coming out with it, but I thought it was pretty awesome. So yeah. Next up, the Squeeze Assistant. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Google Assistant. Obviously, there's tons of comparisons, and I won't even try to compare the two. They both, Google versus Siri, they both offer their own various perks in terms of that. From a content perspective, I will say, when you're searching something, obviously Google has that down pat. But squeezing the phone to activate the assistant, I'll be honest with you, I thought that was a gimmick from the get-go, right? So obviously I think there was an HTC phone that did it earlier this year, and right off the bat I thought it was a gimmick. However, the more that I used the phone, and when I found myself squeezing it more and using that to activate the assistant, as opposed to holding down the home button, or as opposed to saying, okay, Google. I felt that was a more effective way in terms of, activating the Google Assistant. I will say this though, it's tough to find a medium balance on that, because anytime you put your phone in your pocket and try to pull it out, boom, there's the Google Assistant. Anytime you're doing something, and obviously with the Google Pixel XL, it's a much bigger device, and there's no way that it's a one-handed device. So as a result, you find yourself squeezing it sometimes more just to kind of have a grip on it so you don't drop it, and you activate the assistant that way. Now I know that there's settings that you can kind of go through, and I've been trying to find that happy medium of, I don't want to just try to squeeze the life out of the phone, but I don't want it to activate it every time. I haven't really found that medium yet, but in terms of the actual use of it, in terms of application, whenever I want to squeeze it to use the Google Assistant, I thought that was pretty cool, and something that I didn't expect that I would like. Another feature that I didn't expect that I thought probably would be gimmicky right off the bat was the always listening for music. So I forgot whatever Google calls that, but it's basically where the device is always listening to find out whatever song that's playing, and if a song's playing on the lock screen, it'll show you, now playing and a title of that song. I read early on that they were only going to have 17,000 songs on it, and I didn't feel like it would be that much of a big deal. However, or I didn't think that it would work as well as it does. However, I was watching a movie with my daughter, it picked up on that, and I just started saying, oh wow, okay, it picked up on that, that's cool. In various places that I'm at, it's always picking up the song and it's there. It kind of surprised me how well it's picking up a lot of songs out there that I haven't found a time where a song's been playing and it hasn't recognized it. So I didn't expect, and to be honest with you, it's not a big deal for me, but I kind of downplayed it, and it surprised me to work as advertised. So I thought that was cool. Another aspect of the Pixel 2, the XL, that I like is the camera. The camera is really good. It takes clear pictures. I mean, it's one of the top smartphone cameras that are out there. I have nothing to say negatively about the camera. The camera's awesome. Obviously, from an iPhone perspective, we know the iPhone 10 is coming out right around the corner, and the 8 and 8 Plus just came out. So, in terms of video recording, which I do a lot, it's lacking in a couple features like the slow-mo, stuff like that. But outside of that, in terms of everyday pictures and in terms of video quality, it's pretty awesome. No complaints there. Now, let's talk about some of the things that I don't like about the device. Right off the bat, I knew I was going to hate it, and I still hate it. The Messages app. So, I don't know about you guys, but texting is something that I do a lot, all day, every day. And the text message, the stock Android Messages app that I'm using, I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's atrocious. I hate it. I've always hated text messaging on Android. It kind of feels like I'm texting back in 2008 or something like that. It doesn't feel like it's ever evolved. I'll give you guys a couple examples. For example, let's say me and someone have been sending text messages back and forth, and there's pictures that are involved, right? On the Android Messages app, either I have to search for it and type in pictures, and then it'll find, pictures or something like that, or I just have to scroll through it until I find it. From an iPhone perspective, on the text messages app, you just literally hit the eye at the top right corner and you see a list of all of the pictures that have been sent and all the attachments or anything else. You can't beat that. That's just an awesome experience there. So, and then also, it feels like I'm texting as opposed to sending instant messages. And nowadays, it should be like instant messages. I mean, with the iMessage, that's been out for years, and it's the best, to be honest with you. I mean, I know that there's other third-party apps that I could use, like, WhatsApp, WeChat, all that other stuff that's out there. I can even use the Facebook app. But the problem is, I don't want to use those apps. I want to use my stock text messages app. I don't want to have to send all my messages through Facebook, because I have a lot of people who don't use Facebook. So that's kind of pointless. So from a text perspective, I don't know what Google's doing here. They've yet to figure it out. I know they have, the Google Voice. I will say that from a text message perspective, if I want to be on a computer that's, let's say, not my Mac, right, and let's say a work computer or something like that, I do think it's cool that the text messages roll over to that, so I can text someone online from the web and not be assigned to a designated computer like I am with iMessage. But outside of that, I'm not a huge fan at all. Next, the display. So obviously, I'm sure that you guys have seen there's been a ton of complaints about the display, the blue tint, the graininess, the burn-in, all that stuff. I haven't experienced the burn-in, but every other one I have. So right out the gate, as soon as I unboxed the device, I opened it, started entering in all my information, and then I just kind of moved to the side, and instantly I saw that blue tint. And literally, if you're not looking at, let's say you're holding the phone, and the second you go like this, or you go to any side of it, you will see that blue tint. And I think that's just really bad. I don't think my angle should impact the color that's reproduced, because it clearly changes the color. So that's really bad. And then also the graininess. If you're looking at like a white or gray or a light background, you can clearly see that there's a lot of graininess in there. I mean, just in the text messages app alone, if you look at the background, it's not like a clear white. You can see, it almost seems like it's textured, but it's not supposed to be that way. So the display, from that perspective, not that great. If you look at it straight on, yeah, I mean, it's a nice AMOLED display, but the second you look at it from an angle, I'm not a huge fan. I haven't experienced the burn-in yet, but everything else I've really experienced, so not a huge fan of that. What else? Okay, so the fingerprint sensor. So Google has the approach of, let's put the fingerprint sensor on the back of the device, because that's normally how you hold the device. It's true. When you hold the device, your finger kind of just plants right there in the center. That makes sense. So from that perspective, I get it. But from the other perspective is, when my phone is literally flat, the fingerprint sensor becomes obsolete. And what I mean by that is, I can't use it. I have to pick up the device to access the fingerprint sensor, as opposed to me just looking at the phone face down, putting my finger on the home button and unlocking it. So now you take away the security of the fingerprint sensor, and I have to, obviously enter in a password, or go back to the old school pattern, or even try their version of face unlock, which obviously, we know how that goes. So from that perspective, yeah, when you hold the device, okay, maybe it's easier to activate the fingerprint sensor, but when the device is flat on a table or something like that, once again, you can't use it if it's flat, so it makes you pick it up. And I found like using it at work and other areas where maybe at my desk or something like that, it's been more of an inconvenience to try to pick up the device as opposed to just use it. And then obviously, like I said, I start going backwards and typing my password or whatever the case is. So initially, I didn't know what I would think about the angle of the fingerprint sensor. Now looking at it, I don't really like it on the back. That's just my personal preference. And the last thing that I'll talk about in terms of the dislike perspective is going to be the app icons. I knew going into it that there's always an issue with that. So what I hate about having a device is, especially well, obviously it's only on Android, but what I hate about this is when I download various apps from the Play Store, there does not seem to be a set of rules to say the app icons have to fall in a certain format. We have some apps that are square, some of them that are circled. I need some more uniformity there. Now, obviously, people could make arguments and say, well, hey, just download a theme or, do a different launcher or whatever the case is. I want to do from a straight Google perspective. And if I download the phone and don't have to mess with all those themes, unfortunately, there's not uniformity there. Another thing that I found is that some app icons, for whatever reason, are the icon itself is not optimized. So when you look at the icon, either the graphic or there's parts of the icon that are pixelated. It doesn't seem, up to date and clear like some of the other icons. And I really don't understand this, because it would seem like something like a simple rule that Google will make and say, hey, all app icons have to be a certain resolution and they have to be circular or square, whatever the case is, to keep design elements steady throughout the UI. But they don't. And for whatever reason, app developers think that some developers like squares, some developers like circles, some of them don't even update their app icons to a resolution that's respectable where you can't even see pixels in them. So I don't like that at all. I think that that's really bad. And I think from a user perspective, it just kind of makes it feel weird. It makes it feel like it's not uniform. There's no continuity within it. And obviously I hate that. So those are a couple of things that I like right off the bat. Like I said, there'll be videos that are coming every day. Please obviously subscribe to our channel. Check out the next video that I'm going to post, and hopefully, like I said, you guys can learn something and obviously see that there's something to learn on both sides. So that's it. I'll see you guys later.